First off, I want to thank you all for the amazing support you've shown to the podcast. If you find it difficult to gain and finish hours-long, 8 to 10 podcasts per week, please subscribe to most advanced featured and accurate quick podcast summaries on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. You can start with free trial, which lets you listen all the podcasts and later, just for the price of candy in most places. It will save you from spending 15 to 20 hours per week catching up. Here is a rundown on if you want to be liked, don't help people, and I lost tens of millions on Beast games, featuring MrBeast by Stephen Bartlett. Stephen Bartlett starts off by asking his listeners for a favor, to subscribe to the show, promising that he and his team will do everything in their power to make the show better for them every week.
He then introduces his guest, Jimmy, aka MrBeast, describing him as a unique individual with a perspective on life that he's never encountered before.
Stephen asked Jimmy to share about his earliest years to help understand who he is today. Jimmy reveals that he's always been stubborn and never gives up, even when faced with criticism or failure. At the age of 11, he decided he wanted to be a YouTuber and was determined to make it happen, despite his mom's initial disapproval. Jimmy's mom worked 2 jobs to provide for him and his brother after their parents went bankrupt in 2008. Jimmy was often left to his own devices, which led him to focus on making videos and building his YouTube channel. Jimmy's mom would often cry and beg him to do his homework, but he was too obsessed with building his business to listen. He even told her that if she wanted his homework done, she should just do it herself. Jimmy's mom was worried about his future and the risks he was taking, but he just didn't feel the same level of risk that she did. Eventually, after Jimmy took enough risks and figured things out, his mom came to trust him and their relationship improved. Stephen asked Jimmy about his dad, but Jimmy doesn't want to talk about him much, saying that it's a long story and not something he worries about. Jimmy's mom has spoken about his dad before, describing their tumultuous relationship. Jimmy's focus on YouTube was driven by his desire to make money and take care of his mom and family. He was inspired by other YouTubers who were making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year and saw an opportunity to retire his mom and pay her back for all her hard work. Jimmy gets frustrated when people try to simplify his motivations for doing what he does, saying that humans are complex creatures with multiple reasons for their actions. He believes that his relentless focus on YouTube is due to his ability to obsess over one thing for long periods of time, which he considers his superpower. Stephen notes that Jimmy's level of commitment and sustained focus is something that many people can't understand. But Jimmy just shrugs it off, saying that it's just who he is. This level of obsession is something he's always had, and it served him well in his career.
Before YouTube, MrBeast was into baseball. But when he turned 15, he got Crohn's disease, which made it impossible for him to continue playing. He lost 50 pounds and had to undergo extreme treatment, including a medicine that shuts down his immune system. This experience has made him appreciate the importance of solving hard problems and has given him a unique perspective on life. MrBeast's obsession with solving complex problems is something that drives him, and he's found that it's not just limited to video making. He's also passionate about entrepreneurship and has found that he enjoys the challenges that come with building a business. He's learned that it's not just about being smart, but also about being willing to put in the work and take risks. When it comes to his approach to problem solving, MrBeast emphasizes the importance of extreme ownership and accountability. He believes that people should take responsibility for their actions and not make excuses. He's also a big believer in the power of obsession and has found that it's one of his greatest superpowers. MrBeast's experience with Crohn's disease has also taught him to appreciate the importance of living in the moment. He's learned to push through the tough days and not let his condition hold him back. He's also developed a strong work ethic and is willing to put in the time and effort required to achieve his goals. In terms of his approach to creativity, MrBeast believes in the importance of taking risks and trying new things. He's not afraid to fail and is always looking for ways to push the boundaries of what's possible. He's also a big believer in the power of originality and is always looking for ways to create content that's unique and attention-grabbing. When it comes to his team, MrBeast looks for people who are coachable, always learning, and always improving. He wants people who are willing to take risks and try new things, and and who are not afraid to fail. He also values people who are willing to put in the work and take ownership of their actions. He's a true original, and his approach to creativity and problem solving has made him one of the most successful YouTubers of all time. He wants people who are coachable, obsessed, and all in, and who believe that the more valuable they become to the company, the more they'll be rewarded. For him, it's not just about hiring someone to do a job, but about building a long-term relationship where he can invest in their growth and development. He wants people who are willing to dedicate their lives to the business and who share his vision. He's had experiences with people who are mediocre, and he finds it frustrating to work with them. He believes that great people love working with great people, and that being around them brings out the best in everyone. On the other hand, mediocre people can bring down the energy and motivation of those around them. MrBeast thinks that the worst trait in an employee is mediocrity, because they're not bad enough to be fired, but not good enough to be valued. He's very particular about the people he surrounds himself with, and he wants to make sure that his great people are working with other great people. He believes that this is one of the most important jobs of a leader, and that it's essential to create an environment where people can thrive and grow. MrBeast has been fortunate to find people who share his level of obsession and dedication, and he's willing to pay them well and take care of them. He thinks that people like Tyler, Klitzner, and Russ are unicorns, and that they're essential to the success of his business. As his business has grown, MrBeast has had to navigate the challenges of scaling his team. He's had to learn how to manage more people and deal with the inevitable problems that come with growth. He's found it difficult to balance his creative vision with the need for systems and processes, but he's trying to find a healthy medium. He's brought in people with more experience managing large teams, but he's also careful not to stifle creativity and innovation. MrBeast is aware that there are incentives for people to throw arrows at him, especially when they leave his company. However, he's not too concerned about it because he knows that he's doing something moral and ethical. He's more focused on solving problems and making things right, rather than worrying about what people might say about him. He thinks that criticism is just part of the game, and that it's not unique to his industry. Despite the criticism, MrBeast is driven by his passion for creating content that resonates with people. He's aware that he can't please everyone, and that even with a 99% hit rate, there will still be people who are unhappy. However, he's not letting that hold him back, and he's focused on creating content that makes a difference in people's lives. With over 200 million views per video, MrBeast is acutely aware of the impact he has on a global scale, and he's determined to use his platform to make a positive difference. He's come to a point where he decides what he believes in and doesn't let the internet dictate his actions. MrBeast has experienced the darker side of the internet, having read over 5,000 messages telling him to kill himself. He finds it astonishing that people would leave such comments, and it's clear that the human brain isn't designed to handle this kind of feedback. In the past, MrBeast would get affected by negative comments, especially when he was younger and less confident in his abilities. He would cry and question his decisions, but he's since developed a thicker skin. He now focuses on whether he believes in what he's doing, and if he does, he ignores the criticism. However, he acknowledges that it can be tough for those around him to see him being attacked online. Despite the challenges, MrBeast remains committed to his philanthropic work. He believes that a world where he helps people is better than one where he doesn't, and he's willing to face criticism for it. He's noticed that the more good he does, the more people seem to think he's secretly evil, which he finds fascinating. MrBeast's schedule is incredibly demanding, with him traveling constantly and filming videos. He's been struggling to maintain his workout routine and sleep schedule, which has taken a toll on his physical and mental health. Despite the challenges, he's determined to reprioritize his life and make time for the things that are important to him. In the past 7 days, MrBeast has been filming videos in South Africa, visiting the deadliest places on Earth, and working on his Feastables business. He's also been dealing with the flu and struggling to sleep, which has made everything feel 30% harder. Despite the challenges, he's managing to push through and stay focused on his goals.
MrBeast's conversation with Stephen Bartlett has been a candid and insightful look into the life of a social media personality. He's shared his struggles with online criticism, his commitment to philanthropy, and his determination to prioritize his well-being, despite the demands of his career. Stephen Bartlett jumps in to talk about cybersecurity and how important it is, especially for founders and professionals. He mentions Vanta, a sponsor of the podcast, which helps with security compliance and automates the process of proving a business is secure.
MrBeast shares his thoughts on mental health, saying that if it were a priority, he wouldn't be as successful as he is. He believes that being consistently uncomfortable and able to suffer over long periods is one of his deepest moats. He thinks that's why no one makes videos like him, because no one wants to live the life he lives. He recalls a year when he was flying over 200 days and how it was a fuck fest. He always tells himself that the way he feels is why no one else does what he does, and if he pushes through, it's just another reason why no one will ever be who he is.
Stephen Bartlett brings up a conversation MrBeast had with Colin and Samir, where he mentioned being miserable a lot of the time and having mental breakdowns every other week.
MrBeast clarifies that he doesn't have mental breakdowns, but rather moments where he feels like he's going to lose his mind. He attributes this to gear shifting between different projects and tasks, which can be overwhelming. He's learned to organize his schedule to allow himself to focus on one thing at a time and avoid constant gear shifting.
Stephen Bartlett asks MrBeast if he thinks the average person would like to be in his head, and MrBeast says no, because they would be miserable working all the time.
MrBeast thinks that most people would get depressed if they felt like they were just a fucking animal with no free will. He's having a good time right now, but when he had the flu in Africa, he was miserable. He thinks his baseline is probably more unhappy than happy, but he enjoys working on Feastables and building businesses.
Stephen Bartlett wonders if MrBeast has ever thought about quitting YouTube. And MrBeast says that, of course, he has. He thinks that other YouTubers get burnt out and quit because they're chasing a goal of financial security, but once they achieve it, they don't want to suffer anymore.
MrBeast believes that he's different because he's driven by a desire to change the world and make a difference. MrBeast recalls a time when he came close to quitting, but it was more of a break. He remembers a video where he spent 7 days on a deserted island, and on day 2, he woke up with over 700 bug bites and was sunburned. He quit the video, but it was a brutal experience because of the opportunity cost.
Stephen Bartlett asks if MrBeast can see himself doing YouTube for the next 2, 3, or 4 decades. And MrBeast says yes, he has no intention of stopping. He's always pushing himself to be better and make more content. Stephen Bartlett brings up MrBeast's engagement, which was announced on Christmas Day.
MrBeast says that his fiancée, Tia, is one of the few people who would make a good partner for him. She understands that work is what drives him and supports him. Hanging out with her is frictionless and they share similar interests. MrBeast is excited to see what the future holds for them. She's easy to be around, and he appreciates how frictionless their relationship is. He values this especially since he doesn't have a lot of time at home. He appreciates that she's intelligent, has her own hobbies, and is willing to adapt to his busy lifestyle without feeling demeaned. MrBeast is aware that his current lifestyle wouldn't be suitable for kids, so he's in no rush to start a family. He wants to be a great dad and have the time to mentor his children, just like he enjoys mentoring younger entrepreneurs.
Stephen Bartlett notes that MrBeast's business empire is much larger than people might realize.
MrBeast confirms that his company, Feastables, does 9 figures in revenue, and the overall business is worth a significant amount of money. He's a billionaire on paper, but he doesn't have a lot of cash in his bank account, as he prefers to reinvest his money into the business. MrBeast views money as fuel to grow his business, and he's not interested in accumulating wealth just for the sake of it. He wants to use his platform to make a positive impact on the world. He's passionate about ethical sourcing, particularly in the chocolate industry, where he's discovered that many companies use child labor. He's determined to change this by creating a profitable and sustainable business model that prioritizes fair labor practices. MrBeast's goal is to reach $1 billion in revenue while maintaining his commitment to ethical sourcing. He hopes to inspire other chocolate companies to follow his lead and create a fair trade logo to educate consumers about the importance of ethical sourcing. He's driven by a desire to make a difference and get over 1 million kids out of child labor on cocoa farms. When asked why he cares so much about this issue, MrBeast says it's simply because he doesn't want to get rich on the back of little kids. He's been to the farms and seen the conditions firsthand, and he believes it's obvious that something needs to change. MrBeast is committed to his mission and wouldn't sell Feastables even if someone offered him $5 billion. He's confident that the first thing a new owner would do is drop the ethical sourcing to increase margins. He's had offered by his YouTube channel in the past, but he's never been interested in selling. He'd rather keep doing what he's doing and using his platform to make a positive impact. He wanted to add colored tips to the wrapper so that customers could easily tell the flavors apart from a distance. He wanted to add a message to the front of the wrapper. Every bite helps get kids out of child labor. MrBeast was also critical of the images of the chocolate on the front of the wrapper, saying they could be of higher quality. He wanted to add more messaging to the back of the wrapper as well.
Stephen Bartlett pointed out that MrBeast's attention to detail was atypical for an entrepreneur.
MrBeast shared a story about how he had to learn about package engineering the hard way. His original chocolate bars were too thin and would break easily, and the boxes they came in were not designed well, causing them to fall over and the bars to break. MrBeast was frustrated with the situation and decided to take matters into his own hands. He put hidden GoPros in Walmarts to see why his bars were breaking and discovered that it was due to the poor design of the boxes. MrBeast spent thousands of hours obsessing over the details of his product, from the ethical sourcing of the chocolate to the design of the wrappers. He would often drive to Walmarts to check on his product and make sure it was being displayed correctly. He would even go into the back of the store to help the employees stock the shelves. MrBeast believed that it was essential to know every detail of his business, from the production of the chocolate to the consumer's experience.
Stephen Bartlett asked MrBeast if he felt like he had spent his whole life fighting to raise people's standards to his own.
MrBeast replied that he just wanted to be the best at everything he did, whether it was creating content or building businesses. He enjoyed the challenge of solving complex problems and was willing to put in the time and effort required to achieve his goals. MrBeast's main channel was still his baby, and he saw it as the source of everything he did. He didn't get paranoid when the views went down, but he did keep an eye on the metrics. He would often look at the retention and click-through rates of his videos and use that data to improve future content. MrBeast believed that it was essential to learn from mistakes and use them as an opportunity to grow and improve. In recent times, MrBeast had a video that didn't perform well, and he had to resist the urge to get insecure and take control again. However, he trusted his team to learn from their mistakes and use them as a chance to improve. MrBeast's philosophy was that as long as people learned from their mistakes, it was okay to make them. He encouraged his team to take risks and try new things, even if it meant making mistakes along the way. According to him, his team is good and doesn't make the same mistake twice. However, experimentation and testing are crucial to their success. MrBeast shared that one of their bigger flops was a video where they built a giant tower and had a guy start at the top, but it didn't perform well. He emphasized the importance of creating a culture where people feel comfortable experimenting and trying new things, even if it means failing. MrBeast also discussed the importance of taking risks and trying new things. He mentioned that his team is okay with failing as long as they took an honest, good try at it. He also shared that he doesn't yell at people or get mad at them when they accidentally mess up. Instead, he focuses on learning from the mistake and moving forward. The conversation then shifted to MrBeast's recent competition show, Beast Games. MrBeast shared that it was the biggest competition show of all time, with the largest sets, most world records, and largest cash prize. He also mentioned that it was a huge undertaking, with over 1,000 cameras recording and a massive infrastructure to support it. MrBeast also discussed the challenges of filming the show, including the need to build a central server room to handle the massive amount of footage. He shared that he spent tens of millions of dollars on the show, which was not a good financial decision. However, he has no regrets, as he believes that the show was a success and has opened up doors for other creators. The conversation also touched on the topic of Amazon's involvement in the show. MrBeast shared that he lost a ton of money filming the show, which came out of his own pocket. He also mentioned that Amazon was not aware of the fact that he was giving away the money like he did, and that he spent way too much money on the prizes. It also showcased the massive undertaking that was Beast Games and the challenges that came with it. Despite not getting paid for promoting the show, MrBeast continued to do so because he wanted people to see it and was proud of the effort he put into it. The upside for him was that the better the first season did, the more money he would get for future seasons. When asked about his future plans, MrBeast said he didn't know what the future held, but he hoped to have 2 billion subscribers on YouTube and for his company Beast Games to be bigger than ever imagined. He also hoped to have shifted new businesses that he was passionate about and to have made a positive impact on the world. He didn't think about his personal life and only focused on winning and building his brand. MrBeast was shown some old photos of himself and his family, which he hadn't seen in a long time. He recognized some of the places and objects in the photos, but not all of them. He was particularly amused by a photo of himself as a child, which he hadn't seen before. When asked what he would whisper to his younger self, MrBeast joked that he would say, "Buy Bitcoin." However, he said that he wouldn't actually say anything, because he was happy with the way his life had turned out, and didn't want to change the course of events. He believed that going through the struggles he faced as a child was important for his growth and success. MrBeast's mom had been a huge influence on his life, and he credited her with giving him the tools he needed to succeed. He said that she had been through a lot and was now happy, and he made sure to take care of her and prioritize her health. He also said that he loved his mom and was grateful for everything she had done for him. When asked about his fears, MrBeast said that he didn't have many, but one of his biggest fears was losing his mom. He said that he wanted her to live forever and be able to be involved in his future children's lives. As the conversation came to a close, MrBeast was asked to leave a question for the next guest on the podcast. However, he was first asked to answer a question himself, which was, would you rather die with a sound body or a sound mind? MrBeast chose to die with a sound mind, saying that without his mind, he wouldn't be himself.
The host of the podcast, Stephen Bartlett, thanked MrBeast for the conversation and credited him with inspiring him to be more ambitious and to think outside the box.
He said that MrBeast was not just inspiring him, but also tens of millions of other people around the world. MrBeast left a question for the next guest, but it was not revealed in the conversation. Thank you for tuning in. Please click follow button and just remember, subscription is only £1 or $1 per month. Leave a comment or review. Until next time, happy listening.